I think I've said many times on my channel that I think Panasonic should upgrade the GH line. So the GH5 or GH6, I think they should upgrade it to a larger sensor size, something bigger than Micro Four Thirds. And maybe it doesn't have to be the GH line, but a line from Panasonic under the Lumix brand or whatever they want to do that's bigger than Micro Four Thirds. And I've said that a bunch of times, and I always get pushback from people saying, like, oh no, they can't do that. They've invested too much time and money into Micro Four Thirds, and they're not going to abandon their platform and blah, 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 all this stuff, right? And I think that's silly. I think that's a terrible move by Panasonic if they don't implement a larger sensor size camera, especially for people like me and many other people like me who love the GH4 and just wish that it had a bigger sensor size. That's the one thing. Whenever I talk to people about, the GH4 does all these great things, you should really check it out. The battery life is fantastic. Well, there's a lot of other things other than the battery life, but that's just the one that pops up the most because compared to like the Sony cameras, I think the battery and the handling and the ease of use of the GH4 is just a lot better than what Sony's doing. But I think Sony is beating Panasonic quite handily in terms of features. They've got 4K in body now. They've got in-body stabilization. Some of the cameras, the resolution is just incredible. They've got all these great features, and they've got the bigger sensor sizes. And people are saying, no, Panasonic should just stick with what they're doing. These Lumix cameras, they should only be Micro Four Thirds. And there are just so many people out there who want a good, high-quality camera that shoots awesome video. It doesn't have to be a Red or an Airy or something like that. They just want something that looks good, that's better than what they have. They just want that bigger sensor size, and you can use a speed booster or whatever. Well, okay, you can use a speed booster on Micro Four Thirds to get about APS-C, but you can, if you had an APS-C camera, you could use a speed booster to get to full frame, and that's kind of what everyone's all about. Ever since the 5D Mark II, everyone's like, full frame, gotta have full frame. And you don't have to have full frame, but it's just nice to have, especially when you're talking about selling a product to consumers. People want the features on these cameras, but they want bigger sensors. And it's this whole thing of like, oh, they've spent too much time and too much money on Micro Four Thirds. Well, they don't have to abandon it entirely. They could make another product line. But even if they did abandon it entirely, that's fine by me because, yes, it would piss people off in the short term. I'm sure there's a lot of people who'd be upset that all their lenses, now it's all, antiques, essentially. It's all legacy stuff because now all the new stuff is for full frame, blah, blah, blah. But if they want to compete in the marketplace where Sony is, I think, in the from a consumer perspective, dominating with the features they're rolling out. I mean, Samsung was close with the NX1, but then they just kind of floated off somewhere and decided not to make cameras anymore or something. I don't know. But Sony's dominating, and I think it's because of they're giving people the features they want, and they're giving people the sensor size that they want. And Panasonic has always been ahead in terms of the feature set, but Micro Four Thirds is really holding them back. It's this whole weird idea of like, oh, it's a smaller sensor so that everything can be smaller and more compact. But with a GH4, you're still using lenses that look like this, right? This is not fitting in your pocket. This is not pocketable. It's lighter. It's maybe easier to transport, but compared to, I don't have a good lens hanging around that would be equivalent, but like a 24-70 for a full frame camera is not much bigger than this. That would be the equivalent, right? This is 12-35, 24-70. It is bigger, right? But not substantially so, where it's like a cinema lens or something. So saying that, like, oh, we want smaller sensor sizes to make smaller cameras so they're more pocketable, yada, yada, yada. I don't think it makes sense in 2016. Maybe that made sense years ago when they came up with Micro Four Thirds, but I just don't think that's the demand anymore. People want, if it's a pocketable camera, people honestly want an iPhone. They don't want point and shoots anymore. They don't want compact cameras. They want phones. And I don't think Panasonic or Sony or whoever should, be interested in capturing that market. Go after the people like me. Go after the people who are out there like wanting to be filmmakers or documentarians or commercial directors or whatever, whatever these people are into, video production, filmmaking, whatever it is, go after those people. And that's kind of what they've been doing, right? Giving features like 4K in such a small body like this. I mean, it's pretty revolutionary. I mean, it certainly pushed everyone else to do it Panasonic did with the GH4 anyway. But I think this is Micro Four Thirds is holding them back at this point, and it's just going to get them stuck. And it's that saying of like, if you don't cannibalize your own market, someone else will. And I think that's definitely happening, and I think it will continue to happen if they don't change course, at least a little bit. Maybe don't kill off Micro Four Thirds, keep it around. Some people really, really like it. I don't know why. I don't know what advantages it has over APS-C and full frame, other than the lenses are a little bit smaller and a little bit cheaper, but even that is kind of debatable. The cameras are cheaper, I guess. The sensor is smaller, so the cameras are cheaper to produce and cheaper to buy. But when you're talking about people who are professionals, the difference between like $1,000 or $2,000, most people I think are willing to pay that for the bigger sensor because of all the benefits you get. Low light, shallow depth of field, all those things that people want, right? They want those things. So if you don't give it to them, they're gonna go with a company that does. And right now that's Sony, because Canon is asleep, Nikon's in a coma. I don't know what they're doing from a video perspective. Granted, that's what my channel's all about, right? Video. I do photo as well, but mostly just video is my focus. And Panasonic is doing good. GH1, a great little camera. Do I have it around? No, I don't have it around. GH2, even better. GH3, nice substantial upgrade. And then the GH4, just like, whoa, I have to have this camera. And I love this camera. It's been great, but it's time for an upgrade. And if the GH5 offers 5K or 6K or higher frame rates or all that stuff, that's great. That's fine. But I think they would sell a ton more if they had a bigger sensor. That's what I want. That's what a lot of people I talk to, that's what they want. And I think if they just implemented that one thing, they'd win a lot of people over. Because I know a lot of people who use Sony stuff and they like it, but they don't love it because there's a lot of problems and strings attached, and they're not enjoyable cameras to use. The footage looks great, but the actual using the camera isn't always the most fun. So I think a lot of those people would switch too if they had the option to. But right now, it's not the case because people just think the sensor's too small. So at the end of the day, the question is just kind of like, does size matter? And for camera sensor sizes, it absolutely does.